You're listening to I'm Hurt with Cutthroat Cody and Timothy Styles. I'm trying to get comfortable.
It's kind of hard to be comfortable in this weather right now.
What's wrong with the weather?
Well, aside from the sky cracking after 4th of July and then all the humidity, which is kind of gone now, which is a good thing. We got some rain showers.
The sky cracked?
Yeah, man.
What are you talking about?
For a second. In Henderson, at least, it rained pretty hard.
Oh, did it?
For like 15 minutes, yeah.
Oh.
And then it went away.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to I'm Hurt. I'm Timothy Styles, your reluctant host. And with me, the man of the hour, Cutthroat Cody. Say hi, Cody.
Ahoy, me mateys.
Maybe that's what... I thought about this, and I didn't talk to you about it before the show. Like, we haven't pre-planned for anything yet, I guess.
Not really.
I should start the show with say hi, Cody, and then you say hi, Cody, and then end the show with say bye, Cody.
I think I can do that. That's how we ended last time. It was nice.
All my old shows, my sign-off was see you in hell. But, you know, it's time to change it up. I'm an adult now.
I'm okay with seeing someone in hell. Just saying.
See you in hell. What'd you say?
See you in hell.
Oh, it sounded like... So, it doesn't matter. So, everyone, welcome to this week's episode. Or I should say, this every other week's episode. And that's where I'm going to start. Little personal business. Last episode, we declared that this is going to be a monthly thing because we didn't want to overdo it. And the minute we were done, I was like, God damn, that was fun. And I want to do it more than once a month because I got, I'm just an open mouth, constantly blabbing, blah, 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 blah. So, every week was going to be too much, I think, and we weren't going to have that much to report, I suppose, in your progress.
Correct.
But every other week, fine by me.
And surprisingly enough, today was a really busy day for me as far as knowing what my progress is. So that's kind of a good point to start, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, no, please. So what is the status? Well, actually, let me ask you this first, or let me declare this. For all the people who maybe didn't listen to the first episode, I will quickly give you a brief synopsis, and then I shan't speak of it anymore for the rest of the series.
Ever again.
The people will just be left out in the dark going, what is this about? I'm Hurt with Cutthroat Cody is about Cody, who is a professional wrestler, and I'm his chum, who happens to be a professional wrestling fan. Cody has injured himself in the line of duty. And to help pass the time, we are going to be discussing any matter of things, probably revolving around the world of professional wrestling. We might dip into pop culture. I'm going to fight against that. Anyway, but we will start every show with an update on where the health is at and how's rehab, surgery, whatever the status is. Where are we at right now?
So I had my first day of physical therapy today, and... they told me that I've got 6 weeks without weights, which is a good thing. And after 6 weeks of physical therapy, we're going to take another MRI and see if the tear has made any progression. If it has gotten any bigger than it already is, we are going to have to do surgery. But if not, then I should be back in the ring hitting people in the faces at some point in the near future.
Wait, so... All right, so you did not have surgery, though.
No.
And we had cortisone shots. That happened?
There was a cortisone shot, and then physical therapy was the first route.
You know, I didn't bring it up when we briefly discussed it. Go ahead, get it out.
Yeah, no. So for anyone...
Sorry, I'm allergic to hot.
For anybody
talk.
that doesn't know, I have massive problems with breathing as it is in general, so especially when it's humid. So I'm going to be hacking a little bit.
I didn't bring it up when we spoke last with the cortisone shots, but every time someone mentions cortisone shots, oh, my wife gave me root beer. Watch out, folks. Excuse me.
There you go.
Don't ever let anybody tell you that I'm an adult, including me. Every time I think about cortisone shots, I think, have you ever watched Any Given Sunday?
I haven't seen it, no.
I think it's Oliver Stone.
That sounds right.
But it's a football movie. Starring Al Pacino and Cameron Diaz.
Bobby.
Yeah. And it's it's about some sort of fictional universe. They can't get the rights to the NFL team, so the I don't know what the teams are, the Knights or something. They're in this fantasy land. This football team wears all black
because that would be a thing that would happen.
Sure, of course.
Just murdered out football team.
Yeah, just straight up ghettoized. But there's a particular scene where Lawrence Taylor, who basically plays himself, keeps playing on an injury, and the doc's like, "Well, I don't know, this leg looks pretty bad. I can't let you play in this big game, pretty important game in the movie." And he goes, "Come on, Doc, one more time for old time's sake." And the doc looks all worried, and then Lawrence Taylor says this with his gold tooth shining, "Please."
Yeah.
I just like
you just sold this movie to me, by the way.
Every time someone talks about like cortisone shots. Oh, and by the way, spoiler alert: his leg snaps in two in a matter of 10 minutes.
Please.
So and an ironic twist. His leg would do the same thing that he did to Joe Theismann. Oh, I suppose you're not familiar. You don't know anything about football. Only wrestling.
Only wrestling.
All right, imagine this: Sid Vicious.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there we go.
You painted a very elaborate picture in my mind.
Sid Vicious coming off of the second turnbuckle?
It was the second turnbuckle. Apparently, that was pitched to him by John Laurinaitis. He told him, "Hey, I got this idea for this move for you to do off the second rope. And you're going to do a diving big boot, and you're going to land with all of your massive body weight on your leg."
Oh, that's what he was doing.
Yeah, he was going for a big boot off the second rope.
Look, let me just say, folks, don't be that weirdo who Googles disgusting images online. It's only going to make you sad. Watching Sid Vicious shin snapping too is something I can't take back. I wish I could forget it.
I remember seeing it live, and after I saw it live, anytime I see it coming up on a highlight reel,
you close your eyes and grit your teeth.
I don't need to see it again. It's a lot like the Hayabusa neck break. That I seen it once, I don't ever need to see it again.
Yeah, I saw that one too. Ugh. Boy, this has started out on a bummer, didn't it?
Rest in peace, Hayabusa.
Yeah. So you got cortisone shots, no surgery. You're going to work on this for 6 months, no heavy weights?
Well, 6 weeks.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6 weeks.
6 weeks, no weights, and body resistance is going to be gradually added onto the regimen of the physical therapy.
Now, the physical therapist, this person I assume is some sort of doctor, but they are insinuating that, hey, with this light resistance rehabilitation, things will heal and hopefully you won't need surgery.
Correct. So step 1 is going through the physical therapy.
Right.
Step 2 is having another MRI to see if there's any progression in the tear.
Right.
And then step 3 is where do we go from there? If the tear has progressed, then we go forward with surgery. But if it's okay, then I'm going to continue living my days. So this is good news, and it's a good thing that we're doing this bi-weekly because information is going to happen as it comes along.
Sure. And it's a healthy way to pass the time.
Indubitably.
I mean, what else would you really be doing at this point?
Playing Fire Pro Wrestling.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about that. Spoiler alert. Jeez, boy. What I said procrastination. Let me cross that off my list.
Oh, I'm right on it. I'm already ready already.
But one of the things that we talked about wanting to do on the episode, on each episode, if it was possible, is you have an eBay store where you're going to be passing things off, for people to bid on if they're interested, of stuff that's pretty rad.
Yes.
And the whole point is that any money that's made is going right into the Cutthroat Cody Rehab Fund.
Correct.
Because every copay is going to be $80, and God forbid it gets to surgery, and we don't need to think about what that's going to get to.
My copay today actually wasn't too bad. It was $75, so I took that $5 and I got a couple bottles of water on the way home.
Ooh la la! But the point is where can people find whatever it is that you're selling, and then what are you selling this week?
So this week, I still have my Ultra HDMI modded Nintendo 64. So if anybody wants to know what that is, I suggest that you just look up Ultra HDMI on YouTube, and you can see what it does. It more or less plays the Nintendo 64 via an HDMI cable, and it cleans up the picture really well because it has anti-aliasing texture filters.
Right.
So it's kind of nifty.
Now, quick question. But, we all know about GoldenEye and such, but how would this be of importance to a wrestling fan? Or did I assume that everything that's coming down the pike might be in some way wrestling related? There's got to be a Super Nintendo wrestling game on there.
There is a
Oh,
ton...
wait. WCW versus NWO. Wasn't that 64?
So I'm not going to be selling any of the AKI wrestling games. What you said, WCW versus NWO World Tour, was the American localization of Virtual Pro Wrestling.
Right.
And that game is amazing. If you are going to play that game, though, definitely pick up Virtual Pro Wrestling. It came out, I believe, a little bit later than the World Tour release. So for instance, in the American version, Scott Hall doesn't actually do the Razor's Edge or the Outsider's Edge. He does a Black Tiger Powerbomb, which is basically the Razor's Edge with the sit-out. But if you play the Japanese version, he actually does the Razor's Edge with the pose and everything without the sit-out. So it's Virtual Pro Wrestling is a more complete version of WCW versus NWO World Tour. So there's a lot of wrestling games for the Nintendo 64.
Right, that are available.
Yes, the best ones are the AKI games, and published by THQ.
Right.
That game engine moved over to WCW versus NWO Revenge. That also moved over to WrestleMania 2000, which then moved over to WWF No Mercy. And then in Japan, they had Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, which is probably one of the best wrestling games, period.
Right.
So, highly recommended.
I remember playing, my buddy had my family, I don't know what it is, we were not well-to-do, so we got the regular Nintendo, and then I never got anything again until a PlayStation 1, and I was basically out of the house and in the military at the time. So, that's how I spent my personal money. But I missed out. My friend had the Super Nintendo, the Sega Dreamcast, the Sega Dreamcast, the Genesis. I missed out on a whole period of rad stuff. But the 64, I would go over to his house, and he had WCW versus NWO. I remember it was the first game that I can recall where you could, change the color of people's, you can customize their stuff. So I was like, oh, Big Show's in the NWO now. I'm going to change his clothes.
Right, give him the NWO t-shirt with the sweet sunglasses.
Right.
That you're going to wear inside of a wrestling ring for some reason, because maybe, the house lights are too high or something.
Think about all the bands that I've probably played with where some jabroni was up on stage. It's at night, indoors, and he's got sunglasses on. So, anything's possible.
It's a high cost to be cool.
What a... I fucking hate it. Whenever I see someone pose it, they make me sick.
Oh, but so I still have that available. I don't have any games with that, but if you're looking to clean up the image of your Nintendo 64, this is really the best thing that you can do. You can play it on any new TV through an HDMI cable, and it's ready to play out of the box. So, not even out of the box. It's...
Now, I thought...
It'll be in a box, but not the original box.
Now, I thought before the show, I said, what's going on this week? And you said you had a Dreamcast.
Now, that's the other thing I'm going to be putting up. I'm going to be putting up a Sega Dreamcast.
Well, look, use your imagination. As far as people know that we record this the day it comes out. That's not the case, by the way.
Just don't tell anybody that.
Yeah, exactly. So
coming to you live from Timothy Styles' basement.
That's the dungeon down here.
The dungeon.
So if you got it, say it.
Timothy. Oh, so the Sega Dreamcast is going to be the American console, but the nifty thing is that it's going to have a Acura HDMI box with it. And what that box does is it gives you a 480p signal via HDMI. So you can once again plug in your Sega Dreamcast and play it on a newer TV and have it look really clean. There are some compatibility issues because some games don't support 480p, but all the good stuff you can play and enjoy. And along with the Dreamcast, there is going to be some non-wrestling stuff with it. Shenmue 1, which is the American copy, as well as the European copy of Shenmue 2, which was never released in America for the Dreamcast. Xbox got it later down the line. That's going to be included, as well as Fire Pro Wrestling D, and Giant and Graham 2000, and Tukan Retsuden 4.
Right. I'm going to interject. It's clear, folks, if you're listening to this, it should be clear by now what Cody's really passionate about. He's not really into wrestling. He's into wrestling video games.
That is a very, very true statement. I actually hate professional wrestling.
Yeah, well, it's stupid. Fuck, everyone knows it's a work. It's bullshit. Why do I even bother? But games, that's where the fantasy comes alive. The crowd doesn't give you any lip.
That's very true. You don't have to have some asshole chanting "We want fire" towards the end of a cage match where you're already bleeding buckets and you have thumbtacks in your fucking scrotum.
Really? That happened for that funny bone thing?
That happened, and
We want fire. By the way, if he was doing it by himself, he shouldn't be saying we.
Well, and once again, this is a chant that
Screw you, jerk off. I'll speak on your behalf. Oh, that's what we need to get going. I'm going to be your heel manager.
What's even worse,
since you're too nice.
Right. What's even worse is, and remember how we talked about how we weren't going to like trash on people?
Oh, I recall I said it on your behalf, but I never spoke about myself.
Okay, so now the person that started this chant, I'm not going to name his name, but what's even worse about it is that he's actually, quote unquote, in the business.
Oh, so he's just a fucking... That's like going to an open mic comedy night and you go up and you're fucking killing the room and the guy up on stage is like... Or a guy off to the side's going, do the Aristocrats. Go blow yourself, dickhead.
It's the equivalent of having somebody, like, heckle you.
Yeah, learn some fucking etiquette,
like,
dickweed.
If you're a comedian and another comedian is showing up just to heckle you.
Right.
And, oh, yeah. So, once again, I'm not going to name any names. A lot of people know who he is, and that's fucking obnoxious.
Yeah, fair enough. But the point is I didn't mean to spend so much time talking about in great detail the stuff that you have on the... Let's get to the point. How do people find the eBay store?
Follow me on Instagram at Cutthroat Cody. The link is in my bio. You'll see what I have. I'm going to put some t-shirts up there too, a Satoshi Kojima one as well as a Tiger Mask one.
Right. Okay. I don't want to drag that shit on in the future for like 15 minutes like
of
we've
course.
done. But I did want to parlay it into two different things. One, somebody did buy something from your eBay store this week. And I found it. Yeah, and I found it fascinating because you put up a bunch of Japanese shirts.
Yes, specifically some Mitsuharu Misawa shirts. Mm-hmm. And Chris Hero actually got them both.
Right.
So a big thank you to Chris Hero for supporting the cause.
Sure.
His money, I got some money off him. It did go for the physical therapy today. So thank you very much, Chris Hero.
And he bought some extra large shirts. I assume you got these when you were a little on the thicker side.
I was pushing 230, 240 back then. Yes.
Boy, Hero though looks like he's going to need to cut them up and sew a couple together though, right?
As long as he's comfortable, man. Like, just let him be comfortable, man. It was a shame when he got cut.
Yeah.
Because he looked fantastic. And
no, he didn't. I'll disagree.
He did.
No, he was in shape, but he looked like Skeletor compared to what everyone remembered him as. Now he looks full. He looks healthy. The problem is he looks like a fucking dump truck standing next to all these people who are in shape. Unfortunately, like the human body, genetics, I look full because I got like a linebacker's physique.
Right.
Whereas you're super in shape. If I got down to your weight, I'd look really messed up.
But I wasn't always super in shape. I mean,
I'm aware of that.
Yeah, and it's a shame to me because they had guys like Willie Mack too, who got let go for whatever reasons he got let go for. And
was he there? And it was a probably a weight thing.
Yeah, they signed him, and then they made some bullshit up about letting go of him, and then they hire
barbecue.
Yeah, and then
That doesn't sound like bullshit to me.
Well, they hire Kevin Owens, and it's like, man, like,
yeah, but that guy's built like a brick shit house. And no, hold on. I'm gonna stand up and we're gonna fight about this. I know that people like saying, Kevin Owens is a fat piece of shit online. They like doing the same thing for Samoa Joe. These are just thick dudes.
Right, and I'm not arguing that at all.
Willie
Mack
Mack
is also a thick dude.
He's thick by black genetics standards.
Right, but
No, what I'm saying is he is the equivalent of Kevin Owens, but it's not for them to understand that, fat black dudes look like this and fat white dudes look like this. You know what I mean? So maybe they didn't understand.
Well, regardless, body image is something that in professional wrestling, you had the ruthless aggression area,
Sure,
where everybody was Rene Dupree. Every single wrestler.
No one calls it the ruthless aggression era. We just call it the years that we didn't like.
So the years that we didn't like, everyone looked like fucking Rene Dupree. They all looked like fucking underwear models. They all had the same build. And once again, I enjoy seeing wrestlers that look different. I don't want to see the same guy wearing trunks and kick pads.
I agree.
I like different body types, and I enjoy different styles. I like the whole package. And when you can somebody for a reason,
Sure,
but then you hire somebody and then you make an exception when they violate all the same reasons you give the other guy that you can't.
well, let's see, but this is all hearsay.
This
and
is hearsay.
speculation on your part.
And I've talked to Willie a few times about it. Like, I know Willie pretty well.
Sure.
And I will side with that dude because he's fucking awesome, and I'm a fan of his work. Sure. So,
and I'm a fan of his body, by the way.
Yes.
He holds it with a certain amount of grace. You know what I mean? Like, he's a plump dude who's squattish, but he looks like fun. I remember the first time I saw him, he came out with like a 70s style shirt on, and I just thought, like, this dude looks like fun.
He can fucking move too.
Oh,
and
except for I did come across, I don't know if it was Botchamania or something, but some video of him landing on his neck and his head going this way and that.
Oh, no.
And it was disturbing. Are you not familiar with it?
I haven't watched that, no.
It's disgusting.
Well, I'm glad he's okay. So
I questioned it after I saw this video, like, oh, he's still alive.
Right. So, but yes, thank you to Chris Hero. I'm gonna get some more thank yous out. Fire Pro Club. There's been some guys that have helped out.
This show is only an hour long.
Yes, I know. Fire Pro Club though. James Freeman and Joshua Turner. I'm just gonna say thank you to them, and we'll move on from there.
Okay, fine. Now, I was hoping to parlay your love of wrestling and video games into Fire Pro Wrestling.
Yes.
And I have a feeling that the floodgates are just going to open, and you're not going to stop talking for an hour and a half.
I'll save it. I'll save the floodgates. If anybody wants to know how I feel about the Fire Pro Wrestling series, add me on Facebook, and then read the love letter that I put out.
No. So speak
Fire
about it
Pro.
quickly. This is a place to handle the business, but
It's the longest running video game series in the history of video game series. Started in '89.
when we first sat down to talk about doing this show, your first thing out of your mouth was, "We have to talk about Fire Pro." And I was like, the old ass video game from like the early '90s, and you're like, dude, you don't even know. Like, all right, I guess, you know.
Well, and the community is super strong, and that's why I'm thanking guys in the community because they've purchased things from me, and they've also donated things that they've sold on my behalf.
Do you hang out in chat rooms?
I was a member of the Fire Pro Club when I was a kid.
Wow.
So, not to go too far into this, we'll go into this another day, but I was really sick growing up.
Right.
I was very ill, and the only thing that I had was fucking wrestling video games.
Right.
Like, that was my way of experiencing wrestling. And Fire Pro Wrestling, like I said, if you really want to know how I feel about it, I posted a big to-do about it. We can talk more about it in detail some other day, because like I said, we're already burning a lot of time. I know that. But Fire Pro Wrestling World just came out over Steam. It's basically a beta. It's early access. They're selling
Because
it for
it's
$20.
supposed to be. So, when did the original Fire Pro Wrestling come out?
The original
1991?
1989 for the PC Engine.
Right. And then they would go on to have, I don't know, 15 different iterations over the years?
Yeah, throughout all the game systems up until now, the last true Fire Pro came out on the PlayStation 2 in 2005 in Japan and 2007 in America.
Dang, that was a while ago. Shit.
So 12 to 10 years.
Because I watched this trailer because you'd brought it up so much that I was like, I got to see it. And the new Fire Pro looks actually pretty dope. Because I love, and by the way, retro gaming is really in. You see me playing Stardew Valley to
Absolutely.
to pass the time. I'm on goddamn board with what I saw, and since it's coming out for the PS4, that's good news for me because I got one. I'm just waiting for them to give me that damn date.
So this is why
I gotta make Hollywood Timothy Styles.
This is why it's important
Okay.
for people that have Steam to get the game now.
Right.
Is because you're paying $20 to essentially test a beta.
Right.
And they are listening to the community for feedback on what they can do to improve the game before they make the official release for the PlayStation 4. So if there was ever someone that you were going to support, this is the little guy. This is your alternative to WWE games. And another thing too is if you're a fan of New Japan,
Right.
the new moves that are in the game
Right.
are more or less all from New Japan.
Right.
As well as upper level WWE guys. So
go look up the trailer. It looks pretty badass, like some of the stuff that it's doing, and it's almost like it looks like it's 16-bit almost graphics, or 32 maybe.
Right.
And it looks rad. It just looks like a game. Oh, I think I saw some. I think there was the Luchador Arena.
Yes.
And instead of on the mat the Corona logo, it had the Kanono logo.
Yes.
Which I giggled at.
And that's the thing that was beautiful about Fire Pro, and it's kind of a fun thing too, is that they didn't have a license for any actual company. So what they did is they released the game and they changed the names of all the wrestlers.
Right. Bulk Shogun.
Yes. Abdul the Danger is like Abdul the Stabber or some crazy stuff like that.
Right.
Solid Gold Steve Odin is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Of course.
And but the thing that's even better about that is that you can go through and you can rename all the wrestlers.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's a make your own wrestling game.
Right.
And Fire Pro Wrestling Returns, I think, had a roster size of 327 wrestlers with 500 edit slots for the PlayStation 2.
Really?
People ran out of space on that. Fire Pro Wrestling World is not limited to the amount of edits that you want to make.
Except for whatever hard drive space you got, which
I can't
you'll
imagine.
be dead before you can ever create that many dudes.
Right, and that's the wonderful thing about it, as well as since it's a 2D engine,
Right.
and it's simplified,
Right.
you can make virtually anybody look close enough to what they're supposed to look like and play like.
I'm going to make Samoa Joey.
Samoa Joey.
Hey, did you watch Great Balls of Fire at all?
I did not watch Great Balls of Fire. Like I said, today was a pretty busy day.
You're right. You're not a wrestling fan.
I
mean, to be fair to WWE, they're not wrestling, right?
I'm a Fire Pro Wrestling fan.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, man. Daish.
I watched it, so I don't know.
Let's talk about it.
Well, there's nothing really for me to talk. Oh, I made a couple of mental notes. It was the first bit of wrestling I watched in months. I've been on hiatus post WrestleMania because, let's face it, the writing sucks.
Right.
With the exception of New Japan. That I did watch a lot of the the recent tournament for the U.S. title and everything else. But it was the first WWE thing I had watched in a while, and I mostly didn't even care. I will say this. I'm pretty certain that Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss thought they were in Japan. Because those bitches were trying to fucking kill each other.
I saw a clip of possibly one of the most brilliant Okay.
You trying to figure out how to word it?
Yeah, but I know how to word it, but I'm trying to avoid wording it. It was one of the most brilliant cutoffs I've ever seen. Where she dislocated her own elbow and then popped it back into place to forearm her in the head.
Which
I
do
will watch
believe
that match. That looked awesome.
It was disgusting, quite honestly. And this is coming from somebody who had seen her do that before already.
Well, and that's a shame because
they're going back to the elbow well.
They're going back to the elbow well, and it's one of those.
By the way,
things,
everyone completely forgot about it because of all the camera work. Because, like, she did the my elbow, and of course the cameraman zoomed in and stayed on it. You know, if it was a real injury, they wouldn't be zooming in and just like focusing on it. But she was just like, and the ref's like, Jesus Christ, we need a doctor. This is disgusting. And of course, they really turned it into a pretty good angle. So people very quickly forgot that she had ever done that before. And plus, it had been, 4 or 5 months when she did it before.
But that's the thing with having something like that happen is
for her, it's a gift.
It's kind of like, here's the greatest trick that you'll ever see, but I can only do it once. I'm going to blow my brains out. To me, like, you can't do that too many times. Right. And if you're going to do it, you got to save it for something special.
I assume that probably, it's an assumption that she had some match. I don't remember when she did it the first time, but she probably had the hot idea of, I'm going to fucking take my elbow out of the socket. Gross. And then some executive saw it and went, Jesus Christ, I'm going to throw up. We got to use that.
Right. And that's something, too, that I've known people that could dislocate their jaws. Not in wrestling, which is a shame.
What's her phone number? Hey,
Deesh. All guys. Yeah, all guys that can do this. So once again, for anyone that wants to know what the Deesh is, have a conversation with Joe DeFalco and listen to him when he gets really excited and he delivers a one-liner.
You should explain who Joe DeFalco is.
Oh, Joe DeFalco is the promoter for Future Stars of Wrestling.
And let's see. I don't really. Everything was mostly forgettable.
I heard a lot of murmuring about the finish to the ambulance match. Apparently, there was somebody that started a petition to have Roman Reigns arrested for attempted murder.
Yeah, I listened to a lot of talk radio and shit like that, and stuff about. Just general stuff about the industry, about a lot of people are harping on that one thing seemingly exponentially. They just love bitching about Roman Reigns. And I don't know when fans are going to understand that the opposite of love is apathy. I just don't give a shit. I'm not his fan, but I don't burn any calories going, boo, shit, you suck. He doesn't suck, but he's just not my cup of tea. I don't care. He just exists off into the ether as far as I'm concerned.
It goes back to preference of music.
Right.
What I like, somebody else might not like.
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Absolutely. And if it's not for me... Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's somebody in the world that's fucking for.
Sure.
So I think more people...
Like in my case, the match of the night went to Heath Slater and Kurt Hawkins.
What?
You didn't watch it, so you're not going to get that joke. But basically, while they were... the whole point was like, well, folks, the show must go on after this whole ambulance accident happens. So... These two come out like, I'm having a match, and then they go out there and they start they just go into a chin lock, and then the camera, no one's paying attention in the audience because they're playing up on the big screen the Kurt Angle in the parking lot going, we need the jaws of life.
So they give him the WCW treatment of hey, here's Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko fucking killing it, and then let's give them the smallest screen while we put up an NWO promo in the back while they're cutting it while they're drunk.
Yeah, exactly. And
terrible.
It was that. The funny thing is eventually they just stopped showing them all together. And then you just heard as, you're watching Kurt Angle be worried as firemen have shown up with the jaws of life and they're trying to pry open the doors of this ambulance. He's looking worried and you hear JoJo go, and the winner of the match, Heath Slater. Why did they even bother?
Well, and here's the thing is that they basically turned it into comic fodder. They took something that was serious. I'll have to watch it myself, but
Sure.
from you're telling me,
Right.
they basically made it a fucking joke. And
What part? The ambulance or the match?
the whole thing. Because when you attach something like as serious as like, hey, this person is trying to fucking kill him.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, show must go on. Let's put something out there that's totally not supposed to be out there.
But meanwhile, we'll still show this super important stuff on the big screen.
You've now made it a joke.
I really think, I mean, I hear that they have, they sometimes hire comedians and people who are fans, but by and large, they hire a lot of people out of school for writing, and these are the people that are writing stuff. And I scratch my head and go, why? Who's coming up with this stuff and why?
But here's your comedy. Santino Marella's Cobra. There's your comedy.
Right.
You're not going to throw Santino Marella walking by the ambulance, putting on the Cobra, and then reacting to the accident, and then saying something that's terribly offensive to whatever race he's trying to portray.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, we've all seen Beyond the Mat.
Yeah.
Right, and of course there's the scene that everyone remembers is Vince McMahon saying, "We make movies," and if you watch shit like this, it's clear, like, well, of course they do. I mean, that because in the real world, if there was a sporting event and there was a gruesome accident, they wouldn't continue to film it and air it, while a competition was still going on.
Right.
I mean, that's what I'm saying when I go, why would someone logically do this? And it's because they approach things from hey, we're just making good old fashioned, weird media, and I accept it. Doesn't mean I have to like it.
Right. And that's another thing too, is that when I watched wrestling when I was growing up,
Mm-hmm.
I never really paid attention to the storylines. I just wanted to see matches.
Right.
I just cared about the matches.
What about the NWO stuff? Like when they were going on, darting Rey Mysterio around and stuff.
I was young enough to appreciate Sting for ripping off the Crow.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when they were doing segments like
now
that.
Now he looks like a 50-year-old mime.
Yeah. For anybody that hasn't seen, have you seen Shakes the Clown?
With Bobcat Goldthwait?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense that you would love Bobcat Goldthwait.
Oh, I fucking love that dude. But Robin Williams as a mime is essentially now Sting.
Right.
So even better. One of my favorite things.
But
so
the main event of the night had to follow this nonsense, and that was Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar.
I watched the start.
It was the entire reason that I resubscribed to the network after whatever it's been, 3 months, whatever. Because, me as a wrestling fan, some things have just become too surreal or too unbelievable, or it's just completely preposterous to suspend the disbelief to get in line with this stuff when, one, the writing is bad, and two, the wrestling can be unbelievable just by mere logic.
Right.
But this made sense. Now, I'm not a Brock Lesnar fan, but Samoa Joe, I'm all about it. It's just a thick dude who, you look at him and you completely get it.
I'm kind of on the other side of the fence. Not to cut you off, I'll let you keep going.
No, well, I guess they had a 6-minute throwdown and it ended, and I suppose there's some complaints about that, but it was fine. It wasn't like super. It was super intense for 6 minutes, but it ended because it didn't end with 20 finishers. It just simply ended with one. People are like, "Oh, well, that wasn't as good as I was hoping." It was fine for what it was.
And
by the way, I lost $5 because I wanted to see fucking Samoa Joe whip that fucking gorilla's ass.
Well, I mean, in the beginning he did. Like I said, I didn't watch the full match, and once again, there's going to be people that are listening to this that are fans, and there's also going to be people that are going to be listening to this that are in the biz.
Right.
Fuck the formula.
Well, yeah, of course.
The formula worked to a point.
Mm-hmm.
I personally I'm tired of the formula.
What in what sense did you bring that up? Did I say something that sparked that?
Because you're saying that people were complaining about that match being 6 minutes.
Oh, right, yeah.
These guys are billed
Right.
as
Legit.
killers.
Right.
Do you really think that they're going to go out and have like a mat wrestling classic? Of course they could if you let them.
Sure.
Here's the thing.
We know that Joe can put on a super athletic, big reversals and, chain wrestling heavy and all this stuff.
And we've seen it.
Yeah, exactly. But standing across from Brock Lesnar, who, his library of moves is, 3 deep? The shoulder thrust, the F5, the,
German
German
after
suplexes.
German after German after German. And that's my problem.
And by the way, I'm fine with it.
Right.
Because it's like, I get it. I believe it.
Right. And that's once again, my flavor of ice cream in pro wrestling is realism.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I want. I want it to look real, and I want people to react as if it's really happening. That's what I care about. And that's why I say fuck the formula. Because the formula, it works for some people.
Right.
That formula of 20 to 30 minute mat classic, that formula can work for your Seth Rollins.
Right.
That formula can work for who else is like a big
AJ
technical
Styles.
guy right now? AJ Styles. That formula doesn't necessarily work that well with Roman Reigns.
Sure.
Because he's a bigger guy. But here's the beautiful thing about it, is that when you put somebody in a match with somebody else and they have contrasting styles, then you can play. But if you have two people that wrestle the same style, guess what? It doesn't have to be any longer than 6 minutes.
Right.
In my eyes.
Hey, quite honestly, Brock Lesnar simply beating the shit out of John Cena at SummerSlam was a huge shock at the time.
Absolutely.
And everyone was like, whoa, my God. And it's like, yeah, but don't you understand that this shit realistically happens all the time in UFC and stuff like that? And same thing when Goldberg just straight up ended a match with Brock Lesnar. No one really complained about that. Because that kind of shit just happens. Quite honestly, it doesn't happen enough.
Right.
I want to see more matches that are super short. Just some dude he gets lucky and catches a guy. I also want to see matches that, well, this will never happen in the WWE, but just go to a time limit draw. These two are perfect for each other.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like there has to be that variety if you want it to be more believable. But wishful thinking. I don't need to keep going on with that stuff. Hey, somebody told me that, I don't know what it was, last week or something, because I'm not watching TV. They were like, oh, did you see Raw? Swade Thompson was on there, and a whole slew of dudes who they name dropped, and I went, oh, I wonder what Cody has to say about that, since he probably would have been standing there had his arm worked.
Well, and that's here's the thing, is that Swade has gone out, I think, a few times. He's been out twice.
Oh, really?
Alexander Hammerstone.
Yeah, he was another.
He's been out a few times. Douglas James is somebody else that's gone out. And to
put it in context, these guys aren't wrestling dark matches. They're playing the role of extras as security guards or something.
Right. And then the experience that they get backstage is probably going to be something that I'm going to let them talk about if they want to talk about it.
And the catering.
Right. Oh, we'll save. I have a couple stories that I could tell you that we're going to save for another time because we're flowing here and we want to have some more things to talk about. But I couldn't be happier for all those guys. I mean, that's something that's exciting for everybody, man. Like,
sure.
Especially, I'm a company guy.
Sure.
I bleed orange and black, as it were, if it came down to talking about FSW.
Wow, that's interesting. You're a loyalist in the world of professional wrestling, and your loyalty doesn't lie with yourself. It lies currently with the organization you represent on a regular basis.
And that's a very, very different point of view than other people have, but it's my point of view, and it may stop me from going pretty far because I'm not selfish.
Sure. Well, I mean, Well, ooh, boy, that's a can of worms that can be opened here. Why not be selfish? Not selfish in the sense that, like, hey, I'm only in it for myself and blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's something to be said about going into an organization and giving them the best that you have to offer, not for their sake, but for your own. You are your own boss, after all.
For me, I think that...
and by the way, that's all that they deserve since they're paying.
Of course. And for me, I think that it came from a place of I've never really been competitive.
Sure.
And I, once again, we'll touch on it in another episode, but I grew up sick.
Right.
And I had a major surgery when I was 18 years old that gave me the opportunity to really do this.
Right.
And my original goal in becoming a professional wrestler wasn't to become the next Rock or the next Cena.
Sure.
I didn't have the goal of making...
I want to meet that guy, by the way,
Yeah.
so I can fucking clue him in.
They exist. And
I believe you.
And they're the self-serving... this is for me, and I don't give a fuck about anybody else type of people. Whereas
Sure.
I'm lucky to be alive, and I'm lucky to do this in any capacity whatsoever. And I worked really hard to get where I'm at. I have 2 match of the years under my belt, one for 2014, one for 2016. And I look back, and the reason I don't think that I got that with 2015 is because I was wrestling for a different company that was paying me good money, but didn't utilize me the way that I should have been utilized.
Mm-hmm.
And that, who's to say that if they didn't give me the platform to perform the way that I should, which I would have done for them very easily, and they would have had good matches to talk about, because once again, I'm not selfish.
Right.
I want to do this for the company. And
would you think, though, that some people would say that's a flaw that you have?
it is a flaw that I have.
Right.
But it's my
You're too
burden.
nice for professional wrestling. What did I say when you walked into the dungeon here? That, you're too nice for a heel, for one.
Well, but watch my heel. Watch me wrestle.
I will say, when you turn it on, you turn it on.
I have a switch.
I will give you credit.
I have a switch.
You're not like me, who's just a heel all the time.
I feel justified when I get to be an asshole to somebody because I feel like I earned it, whereas you have a lot of people in life who haven't earned the right to be an asshole to anybody.
I generally find that nice people are good at being assholes if they're passive because they're so used to being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
They're just people take advantage of nice people, and they're too nice to be like, fuck you or whatever. But when they get into a capacity where they can then utilize that as fuel for performance, God, are they? I mean, they let it out, man, and it's intense.
Not only fuel for performance, but a lot about me as far as the relationship that we have as friends.
Right.
I have no reason to be mean to you. I have no reason to yell at you.
No, but I have declared, you and me standing next to each other. You're a typical, the modern day professional wrestler, I think, is a gentleman. He's very much like a cowboy in the 80s. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, thank you, please, and thank you. You know what I mean? Like, their manners are almost too much, and it's like, all right, stop pandering. Call me a dickhead or something. Jesus Christ. I need some dirt under your fingernails. You're too fucking sweet.
All right, fucker. So, with that being said, I stock ammunition with a lot of people, and I pick and choose my battles.
Sure.
I have a nickname backstage from time to time that people bring up, and it's called Full Clip Cody. There's full clip Cody. And there's a reason for that, because I went for years without saying anything until I earned my right to say things. And when I say things, people fucking listen.
Right.
And I say them with conviction. I say them with passion. And once again, if somebody puts me against a corner to the point to where I have to snap back and put them in a corner,
right,
it never happens again. And
sure.
I've had a few people that have crossed me, and they don't have the balls to do it again.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet.
No.
It's only a matter of time, the way I talk to you sometimes. I imagine people listen to this like, geez, this Timothy Styles guy is a real dick, and Cody's so nice. one of these days Cody's going to lose his shit.
Well, it's fucking good cop, bad cop, man. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, but I shouldn't be the bad cop. You're Cutthroat Cody.
Yeah, for right now, it takes a lot of energy, man. Like, it takes a lot of energy to be an asshole sometimes.
Does it? For me, it happens naturally.
You roll.
You
with
know,
the
I have
flow.
a reputation.
Well, can we go back to let's talk about the 10 punch, because we brought the 10 punch up in the one
last
episode.
week?
Last week we talked about the 10 punch, and I had some people ask me about the 10 punch.
Yeah, refresh me about what this 10 punch. What was it? Is this some story, right?
So
How did it get brought up in context?
Oh
yeah, no, I got it.
punching.
You got disqualified.
Shoot disqualified for doing a 10 punch in a professional wrestling match.
Wait a minute, shoot disqualified.
Yes.
All right, go on.
So, this is in the 2015 Crash Test Cody days. So if you ever wanted to know some of the stuff that you missed, this was one of the stories. I had a match in Oregon for WCWC, and I was wrestling Grappler 3. And there was a referee.
I love it. Grappler 3.
Grappler 3.
Did he wear the mask?
Oh, of course.
That's
And just to let you
great.
know, the legit grappler
right.
is backstage. You know, like, he's attached to WCWC.
Is that right?
Awesome dude.
What's the guy's name? I forget.
Lenny.
Lenny what? Why am I thinking of Ed? Oh, Jesus.
No, it's Ed Denton. That's right.
That's right.
Ed Denton. But
I knew that. See, people think, this guy, he really thinks he knows everything.
Right. So
I'm telling you, folks, I'm a historian
Yeah.
more than I'm a fan.
So people call him Lenny. I've heard people call him Lenny. I called him Lenny. And so I have this match, and there's a referee who's also a wrestler for another promotion in the Oregon area. Mm-hmm. He's the son of a wrestler. His name is Dominic Hess. And I go into this match, and Wrestling Grappler 3
Is
was...
he bigger as Grappler 1? I don't remember, too.
He
Can't be.
I mean, as far as size goes...
Oh, he's a thick dude?
He's a thick dude, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, I take it back.
So I'm having this match with him, and I don't really have an opening to take over in this match. I mean, he's kind of eating my fucking lunch.
He's smothering you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets me in a hold, and his finger was near my mouth.
And this is Crash Test Cody.
This is Crash Test Cody.
All right.
So his finger was near my mouth, so I saw an opportunity. So I bit his finger. And I wanted to make sure
Why
that...
was his finger in your mouth as some sort of erotic display or a fishhook?
He had an arm bar in, but his hand was on my face while he had the key lock in.
So he put his finger in your mouth?
So his finger was around my face, and
Okay.
I just bit his finger. Because at that point,
Did you guys work yourself into a shoot? Because who would see that?
This is what happened.
All right.
So I bite his finger, and I don't let go of it. And I
see.
I stand up from the hold, and I make sure that
Everyone
everybody
sees
in
it.
the building can see that I'm biting his finger.
Right.
And then I turn around on him, I bash his head in the buckle, and I go up for the 10 punch. Well, what happened was the referee, Dominic, was freaking out because I'm doing something illegal. And he has been trained to officiate professional wrestling matches as if they were real.
Oh, good on him. I know. You should see Cody's face right now. Goddamn son of a bitch.
Man. Oh, okay.
Well,
so
to be fair to him, I mean, you were fucking deep throating this guy's finger.
correct. And that's one thing, though. I had to take an opening because if I didn't take the opening, the crowd would have died.
Right. You were just being manhandled.
Yes. So I do the 10 punch, and he gets to 5, and I come down from the 10 punch, and he disqualified me.
Jeez. Well, that kid had an axe to grind, did he not?
He looked at me
Uh-huh.
afterwards, and I looked at him, and I'm like, did you just fucking disqualify me?
Right.
And the first thing that he says, we can find a way to fix this. We can find a way to fix this.
Wait a minute.
Don't worry, we can find a way to fix this. So I'm fucking pissed because this match.
Are you living out there at the time?
No, they flew me up.
Wow, you flew out just to be just to be thrown around by a dude in a mask and then disqualified.
I also had to set up their rings too.
Oh,
so,
fair enough.
So that's a whole nother story. But so the match is over, and that's definitely not the way that it's supposed to go. And the referee's freaking out, and he's like, "Oh, we can fix this." And then Grappler 3, who has a manager, Jeremy Blanchard, their stable's called the Wrecking Crew. They go outside of the ring. The crowd is super confused because
you're Crash Test, so you're playing the babyface.
Yes. So, and at this point, keep in mind that I'm not only a babyface, but I'm a babyface jobber. So,
you're a jobber.
Oh, I'm a job guy.
So you can't even, because my natural instinct would be to, the fans will love it if I throw a giant fit and wreck a couple of things or something. And,
the thought crossed my mind of doing that,
but since you're a jobber, you just get to go away.
One of the thoughts that crossed my mind was because I wanted to turn heel out there because I hated revisiting the Crash Test Cody stuff. I couldn't stand it.
Right.
And it
Can I ask why?
Because it took something away from me creatively, and it put me in a situation to where I couldn't lead. Every good heel is somebody that can set pins up for a babyface.
Right.
And I'm a really good heel, and the reason why is because I'm a really good fucking leader.
Sure.
So they're walking off, and then I look at the commentator table, and Jeff Aiken, who's a fantastic announcer, but he's also extremely aware of my position in the company.
Right.
Really cool guy to me. He didn't do this maliciously, and he didn't mean ill by it, but I told him, give me the microphone. And then he's like, no, shaking his head. And I'm like,
Sure. Well, I mean, if you're a jobber,
give me the microphone.
Right.
And then it turns into a situation of he kind of like cocks his head a little bit, and I just walk up and I snatch it from him. I hop in the ring, and I cut a promo that is fiery.
Sure.
Like, I didn't come all the way out here to lose by disqualification, and I'm sick and tired of your crap. I want this match restarted right now, and then if all the people are with me, I'm going to walk away here with the win. So the crowd just gets right back into it, and like all of a sudden it just turns into this wild like chant of like 5 more minutes and then restart the match, and they're like freaking out about it.
Sure.
So they call for the match to be restarted. I slide out of the ring. I do the double noggin knocker on him. I slide in. I do the comeback, and then we go home, and the match is over.
Did you lose?
Oh, absolutely, because that's the business. And
boy, you really. I mean, I hate to say it, but it sounds like you. Here I go with the lingo. You went into business for yourself.
I saved the business for my fucking self that day.
Right, fair enough. Well, but if your role is an enhancement guy in a local place, what does it matter?
Because I was put in a situation to where I was told I could fix it. So we're wrapping things up real quick. I go backstage, and they tell me, hey, good job, you saved it. And then they edited out me getting disqualified on TV.
Right.
And they snapped it. So the next time I talk to you, I would love to tell you probably the reason why I had such a problem with that. So we'll leave on a cliffhanger.
Well, if you're going to word it that way. I was going to call it a procrastination, but cliffhanger it is. So there you go, folks. That's it. We will see you again in 2 weeks. Don't forget to follow Cutthroat Cody at Cutthroat Cody on Instagram, and of course a link to his eBay store. It's eBay, right?
It is eBay, yes.
Where you could download all of his professional wrestling paraphernalia that will all go towards the surgery/rehab fund. So that's it for this week's show. Thank you very much on my behalf, and say bye, Cody.
Bye, Fire Pro Wrestling World on Steam.
There it is.
Dash.